Alright, so I did some test renders. Right now you can see the quality is pretty bad. I have my show resolution on. If you look at the quality, it looks pretty bad, but it gives me an overall sense of the lighting for my scene. So if I look out here, you can see the type of lighting that I have. So once you have a good idea of what the lighting is going to look like, you can start to narrow down and fine-tune your render settings to get yourself a good final production result. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to say I'm happy with the emission settings there from the this self-illuminating shader that's on these window panels. I'm also going to say I'm happy with the contrast, the darks and lights being created by my ambient occlusion. I think I like it. I think it's okay. Over here, I have a little bit of a situation with some light leaking right here. And we've seen that before. To fix that easily, I'm going to take this object that's right here, this little wall piece. Let me move the light mapping window out of the way. And I'm going to take this piece here and I'm going to make a duplicate of it. So I'll hit Control and D for duplicate, to make basically a copy of this. And move this out behind that a little bit. And that'll go ahead and block out that little light leaking I had along the edge right there. Let me go ahead and also take this object here and I'm going to go to the light mapping window. I'm going to go to Object and I'm going to go to Scale Light Map 0. And remember to go ahead and tweak your light map settings. So take objects that are not really important, like say these cables on the walls right here. I don't want these to be part of the light mapping. So I'll put the scale to 0. So anything that's not really important, knock it down to 0. Make sure to check your resolution and kind of balance the resolution out. Right now my resolution is pretty tight, pretty high res on most objects in this scene. So this stuff looks pretty good out here. It's kind of high res. Texel resolution is pretty high. But that's okay. I mean, I want this to look pretty good, so I think I'm okay with that. I'm going to take this object here. Since this object isn't even visible, I'm going to knock down its light map resolution to 0. And again, these guys back here, make sure it has pretty big scale, simply because it's not important, so there's no point in wasting your light map resolution on something that's not even important. So I'm going to say I'm happy with that. Everything's looking pretty good. I don't see anything that I want to change at the last moment. So I think I'm going to say that I'm happy with this, and I'm happy with the lighting in my scene, and I'm going to go ahead and create the light map. So I'm going to go to Bake. I'm going to start to adjust these settings to do my final production light map for my scene. So dual light maps, I want that on. High quality, I'll keep that on. Bounces, I'll keep it at 1. I could add an extra bounce. It's going to brighten up my scene because more light's going to bounce around in extra time. And it's also going to increase my render time pretty drastically. This is actually one of the settings that really impacts the render speed of the Beast Light Mapper. So I'm going to keep it at 1. Skylight color, I'm happy with how it is. Skylight intensity, I'm pretty happy with how it is. I could increase the skylight intensity because if I look over here, this area does look kind of dark, these shadowy areas, and it really depends on the artistic look of the game you're going for. So you don't have to go for a game that's photorealistic. It really depends on what your art team has decided, what your art director's decided, and what the final look of the lighting is going to be in the level. In this case, since this is for a tutorial and I'm kind of in charge here, I'm going to say I'm happy with this. I kind of like these contrasts of these dark shadows here, even though it's daytime and there should be probably a little bit more lighting. If you want to boost up the lighting there a little bit, you might want to increase the skyline intensity. What I might end up doing is I might actually increase that skyline intensity. So let me go ahead and put this at maybe 0.75. I don't want to increase it too much. It's a pretty sensitive setting. If you go crazy with it, you might end up drastically changing your scene. You might not be happy with the results. I'm going to keep the bounce boost and bounce intensity set at 1. Final gather rays. When you set this to high quality or by default, it wants to do 1,000 final gather rays. I don't like doing that. That's going to take much too long, and the difference in quality improvement is not going to be too high. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take this final gather rays and I'm going to put it half that, 500. 500 is actually more than enough. And the contrast threshold, 0.05 is pretty good. That's going to give me a nice tight contrast. Interpolation, I'm going to actually increase this to about 0.2. So if I have any artifacts, try to smooth them out with that interpolation. Interpolation points, that I'm probably going to increase to 20, just so that I have a little bit more interpolation with the points there. So if I have any artifacts or anything, I can smooth that in and blend it in a little bit nicer. It reduces the accuracy, but if I get artifacts like little blotching, this will help to smooth it out a bit because I'm using 500 rays. So I'm kind of trying to balance out the quality as well as the render speed. Ambient occlusion, I'm going to keep that on. Max distance of 10 I'm happy with. Again, you can experiment with different distance parameters to get different effects. Maybe tighter ambient occlusion or more spread out ambient occlusion. I like it to be a little bit more spread out in this case. Contrast, I'm going to keep it at 0.5 so it's nice and dark. Resolution, you can go with 10. Again, increasing this resolution will increase the quality of your light maps, but at the same time it's going to increase the render time. It's going to make more light maps. So 10 is pretty good. I could increase it to 15. That's going to be pretty high. I'm going to go with 10 simply because I want this to render a little bit faster, and I really don't think I need 15. So I'm going to say I am happy with this. All I need to do is go ahead and hit the bake button. When I hit the bake button, it's going to go ahead and bake everything. You can see that on my last test render with very bad quality settings to render as fast as possible, the bake took about 36 minutes. So when I hit this bake at high quality settings right now, the amount of time it takes is going to be a pretty long time. I'm going to go ahead and guesstimate that it's going to be well over an hour, maybe even 2 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to go ahead and hit render, and when everything is all complete, I'll rejoin you. We'll come back and we'll just continue working on the scene because we still have quite a ways to go before we can say that we're even close to being done. Okay, so let me turn off the show resolution there. Go ahead and hit bake. It's going to take a really long time, so be ready to commit to doing a couple of hours of rendering. Take a lunch break, leave it rendering overnight, or take a really long coffee break, whatever you want to do to kill some time. I'm going to go ahead and bake this, and I'll meet you later.